Hey Pox community, Bondman007 here with you today on the behalf of TCGBAYCOM. We just want to bring some instructional videos to you, so head on over to Pox portal there at TCGBAY.com to help you get the runes you need to fill up this rune manager we're about to talk to you today. So guys, again, Bondman007 here. What I'm trying to do is create some tutorial videos for you guys, especially our newer guys, that will kind of give you some ideas on deck building and how to use your rune manager. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a trip over to the rune manager, and as you can see from this battle group here, even my 8-year-old boy can use it and create battle groups inside of Pox. So it can't be that hard, but well, I guess where the difficulty comes in is blending a battle group up and making one that is competitive. So I'm going to name one test battle group here, and I'm going to come from you today in Savage Tundra. It's a faction that I've probably used the most over my career, so know a little bit more about that one. But regardless of the faction you use, what you should be able to do is pick up after this video exactly what should go in a battle group, the runes that you use and things like that. That's the point of it, not necessarily picking out a faction here. So Savage Tundra is a good solid faction to use, and I'm going to start with it. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that a battle group is well rounded in champions. Battle groups typically have between 14 and 16 champions. A lot of your better players will use a lower number so they can squeeze in some more runes and some utility things in there. But I try to keep mine around a good solid number of 15 because that helps to usually ensure that you get a first round champion, on your first round reveals. So what we want to do with our champions is I'm going to make a 15 champion battle group. That's typically how many's in mine. And then what we want to do with that is we want to balance out our range guys. We want to balance out our melee meat guys, and then we want to balance out our utility guys. Okay. So what we're going to do, because I have one, I'm going to throw in an Angel of Perseverance. She's a 2-4 range with some good utility abilities. And let's see. Now you guys can, kind of, use whatever pieces you want and things like that. That's fine. But I'm going to try to give you a demonstration of what defines a ranged, a melee meat, and then a utility. For instance, the Angel Perseverance. She's a 2-4 range. She also brings some utility abilities in. But then she intensifies, so this will be a 2 to 6 range piece after she's been in play for just 5 turns. So me personally, I always consider her a pretty solid range piece. She might fall into a utility, but she's definitely range utility. But pretty solid range. Another good solid range piece, if we can flip on over here, is the Jakey Elder. Now the Jakey Elder is designed primarily to do a ton of damage from his range. He's 5 to 7, so he has a good long distance. Not as many hit points, but with Domain Snow and Stat Bonus Upgrade Snow and the Trail Snow that he has, this guy can easily dish out 16 or 17 damage with War Banner easily. He has that capability. So the Jakey Elder is definitely a solid range piece. Now that's what he's made for, is to bring damage from a long range. So we're going to throw in a Jakey Elder, and then some other solid pieces that are from range with Savage Tundra is the Jakey Frost Queens. Okay, so we've got a couple Jakey Frost Queens, Jakey Elder, Angel Perseverance, and let's see who else we can find around here. Another good solid piece that also has some nice utility is the full faction champion is Julia White Eyes. She can heal and do some other things, but she is definitely range, especially after you see the equipment we're going to put on her here in a little bit. So Julia White Eyes is a solid range piece. And then we're going to mosey on over here a couple more pages, and we're going to bring up Shardseer Kayun. She's the ambassador for Savage Tundra. She's range at 3 to 6. And what she brings is the secure fonts. She can lock down those fonts, keep your opponents from contesting your fonts, or you can take your opponent's font and keep him from taking it back. So Shard Seer, good solid range piece, even after her nerfs and stuff a little while back. So, all right, so we've got to start out with some pretty good range pieces. All right, so what does it take to make up some meat here? All right, well, what we're looking for with our damage melee guys is hit points, defensive abilities in combat, and then some pretty decent damage output. Okay, so as we kind of browse through our list here, the Glacial Titan is certainly one of those, but for a very high Nora cost. What I'm looking for is something a little bit more budget, like the Ice Elemental. This guy flies. He's got a 1-2 range, 12 damage, plus he can chill 5, and with the mirrored upgrade, he can take less damage from like alternative non-physical attacks. So magic, fire, all that stuff does half damage to him. So the Ice Elemental is a pretty solid piece. So we'll throw in one of those guys. And let's see here. What else can we use that has pretty good hit points and some staying ability? All right, a Jakey Snow Charger. These guys, they're resistant to physical. They have a frost cone. They're protective, so their damage goes up if a Jakey or a beast is injured in your battle group. He can charge, which adds pretty good damage from a distance, and Exertion 2, he can cough up 8 hit points in order to gain 2 AP. So this Jakey Snow Charger is a pretty versatile, pretty quick, tanky guy with a ton of hit points. He'll have 71 with just the faction bonus and 76 with the banner. So that guy can have a lot of hit points and take a while to bring down. And then let's see, browsing on through. Let's see what we can throw in here. One guy that's not used a whole lot in Savage Tundra but has a ton of usefulness and some tankiness to him is Snow Charger Cavalry. He can have a lot of hit points and a lot of damage with Surge and Loyalty, plus he has his quest to kill. So after he kills something, he gets even more hit points and damage and a free heal. So, the Snow Charger is a pretty decent piece to put in if you're wanting, for some tankiness there. All right, so, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 range guys and 1, 2, 3 kind of dedicated melee tank guys. All right, so let's fill in the rest of our battle group with some utility guys. What's a utility guy? Well, utility guys are kind of a versatile piece that can do a lot when they get on the board. All right, so what are we talking about? Well, Chronomancer. Chronomancer is pure support and utility, and what we mean by that is the Chronomancer is able to dance around the board with her teleport. She's able to paralyze, haste your units, give them a speed bonus, and even stall out the opponent's guys by giving him a speed debuff. Plus, every now and then can reduce the cooldowns on your spells. She's passive, so she's not going to be doing any damage, but with the annoyance that she causes, the Chronomancer that's why she's labeled as a utility piece. Aspect of Affinity is kind of the same way, and Crystal Phoenix, that is definitely utility. So let's see, what are we looking for? Well, I'm going to show you some versatile guys here in the Frostwing Glaive. They've become a staple for Savage Tundra, and it is the picture perfect idea of what a staple utility support guy is. He's flying, which gives him advantage on some maps. He has some cool abilities like Declare Hunted. He does extra damage to his hunted foe. His Glaive Bounce can hit multiple creatures, and he's got Tailwind, which helps your other flyers in play. Plus, he ignores any champ's defense if you go with the strike upgrade, and he has a stun upgrade. So he's got all that going for him just in his upgrades, but if you'll take a look at his hit points, pretty decent hit points, up to 60 with a War Banner in play, and good speed, decent damage, and he's 1-4 range, so he can be a melee guy and he can be a range guy if you need him to be. So the Frostwing Glaive is a perfect example of a versatile, all-around utility kind of guy that can fill a lot of different roles when and wherever you need him. Okay, so now that we've got our glaive in play, let's find some other good solid utility pieces that we can use for our battle group here. Let's see, let's move on down the line here. And what we're looking for is just some champs that can do, quite a few things to really help our other guys out. They themselves don't necessarily have to be all that powerful, but they bring a lot of stuff to the table. And the Jakey Starseer is a perfect example. Okay, I'm going to add 2 of them to the battle group, and I'm going to show you why. Now, her combat abilities are not really great. 9 damage, 6 speed, 5 to 7 range is pretty nice, but with 0 defense and low hit points, she's not very survivable. You have to keep her out of combat. So to have 68 Nora laying around not really doing anything for you, what does she bring to the table? Well, a ton of utility. She's going to scry every round and give you an additional rune reveal. She's going to, take some AP gained outside of normal AP gain and apply it to herself. And then she's going to give Majestic to the closest friendly guy within 5 spaces. But she also, if depending on the upgrade you go with, she brings Prestige, which all friendly champions have Iron Will and Fearless, so none of your guys can be charmed, possessed, dominated, or feared. That's a lot of abilities to have. And she can even invigorate nearby champions and give them a couple points of AP. So the Starseer, especially for a low cost, brings a lot of stuff to the table. Now, is she going to help take down a KKS? No, she's not going to help you take down the big runes. But what she is going to do is help you get to those runes and make your other runes better so that they can. So the Starseer is good, solid utility for Savage Tundra. Alright, and let's see what else we can get here. There's a ton of other runes that you can use in place, but what I'm looking for now is I need something to really help me take care of equipments, because Savage Tundra doesn't have a lot of anti-equip stuff, okay? So one rune that comes to mind is the Strigg Leg Whip. Okay, now would I recommend running 2? Not necessarily. You can run, maybe a Throat Rend Locks to bring in some extra damage and some detection. So see, this guy is going to be like a striker. He's got a lot of hit points and a lot of speed and stuff, but because of his lack of defensive abilities, he doesn't particularly live long. He does have perseverance, but the volatile slows him down from turn 1. You can't throw him out turn 1 unless you have another Savage Tundra guy or your shrine takes a many of points of damage. But he does bring, detection. He's fearless. So, a lot of stuff, and he can dish out a lot of damage. Plus, he's, can resist some damage from range. But that guy is a melee striker type of guy. Not really made to be a huge tank for you, but what he can do is take up some blows and come in and offer some additional utility. The Strigg Leg Whip is also a great example of a versatile utility piece. With his dragon attack, he's going to pull enemies closer to him. Plus, he has the lift ability, which can hold a guy in place. Really great against range guys. Plus, he brings Shatter, okay? And, Area Supremacy, if you want to make him a little tougher and deal a bit more combat damage. Or you can switch over to the multi-attack, which makes his attack, lower. He can attack more and drag him closer and still have some AP to maybe use his lift and things like that. So the Leg Whip brings some things that your battle group's not going to have, especially for Savage Tundra with Shatter. So we'll use him for Shatter and his flying ability and some things like that. Alright, so we've got 15 champions, a decent blend, about 5 or 6 range. We've got about 3 or 4 good solid meat tank guys. And then we've got about, 5 or 6 versatile range melee hybrids with pure utility abilities and stuff in them. And those versatile guys are the ones that really help blend your range and melee guys together, okay? So that's what you're kind of looking for when you're looking for champion. If you're trying to make an all-round decent battle group, that's kind of what you're looking for. You don't want too many pure utility guys in there, because then you kind of lack on your damage. And you don't want just a ton of range guys in there, even though, that might work against some battle groups. You might run into some battle groups that can really eat range. So trying to keep it, versatile and varied is a decent way to go. Alright, so now on to our spells. All right, so guys ask, well, how many spells do I put in? What kind of spells do I put in? How do you determine what to put in here? Well, again, what we're going to go with is kind of a way that we did our champions. We're looking for some versatility, some offense, some defense, and some things to bring some utility. All right, now for Savage Tundra, a common overlooked rune here is Blinding Reflection. What this does, when you first look at it, it doesn't look like it's all that impressive. Okay, it removes my champion from play, and then he re-enters with 3 illusion champions appear identical to him. Okay, big deal. But what happens is, the reason this is kind of key is it actually takes the champion and removes him from play, and then physically places him back in. And when that happens, any conditions that are on him are completely removed, and your champion is placed back into play with the 4 illusions on him, which helps his survivability. But the biggest part is it will cleanse even non-cleansable things like being inhibited, defiled, and even pacified. So removing your champ from play and bringing him back in is actually a very big boon. Now, if you just want a standard cleanse and need that for, say, multiple champions, you can go with Cleansing Storm. That will cleanse everything on the board. And then the staple rune for Savage Tundra is Gale Force. Now, that's the big thing to remember. Every faction has their staple runes. It might be a champion, it might be a spell, it might be both. Savage Tundra certainly has a staple rune, and in my opinion, the number one is Gale Force. Gale Force is the one that really drives this faction. It's what it's known for, and it's been around for a long time. And the reason is because of its usefulness and its uniqueness. It is very unique to Savage Tundra. There's no other spell like it in the game. Upon first looking at it, you kind of look at it and go, well, I don't see what the big deal is. Well, if you take a look, it does 6 frost damage, and any champions that are in there are knocked back 3 spaces. Well, the knockback is where it's huge. For every space that a champion cannot move inside the knockback, he takes 5 damage. So if the champion can't move at all, he takes 15 physical damage, plus the 6 frost, plus additional damage like for other champions being him. So this damage can do some monster damage to units that are around them, okay? So Gale Force, I've seen that thing just, obliterate guys that leave their champions stacked up together. But it's definitely the staple rune for Savage Tundra. You also want some wide area of effect damage if your faction is known for it. Savage Tundra certainly is. With Ice Storm, it's a huge area, 4 spaces. It turns the ground to ice, and all units in there become grounded. So if they're flying over chasms, guess what? You pop that on them, they fall into the chasm, and they also take 10 frost damage and become chilled too. So at the end of the day, this spell is going to do 13 damage to non-Arctic champions within that area of effect. So very, very nice damaging spell for Savage Tundra. And let's see what other kind of things. Snowblind is a solid utility spell that basically takes a spell that's attempting to be cast, and it changes the target on it. So, like for instance, Kathir Force guy comes up on you. You have Snowblind in play. He tries to vortex your unit. Well, it'll block the vortex and make it target the next closest person. So if it happens to be his guy, it would actually vortex his own guy back to his shrine. So that can be a just devastating game-breaking spell if used at the right moment. So we'll use a Snowblind, a good solid spell. And then for Savage Tundra, certainly Swap has become a pretty staple rune with them. Swap allows you to basically exchange spaces with your opponent. So you can actually take one of those champions that kind of got hid in the back, swap him out, make him come over to where your champion used to be, and then take all of your other champs and one around him and take him out of the game. So Swap is definitely a solid rune for Savage Tundra. So that kind of gives you an idea. What you're looking for is a blend of offense, which we have in our Ice Storm and Gale Force, and Swap. We have a blend of defense with our Snowblind, and then utility with our blinding reflection and cleansing storm. So, kind of the same type thing. I'm more offensive, and Savage Tundra spells, their better ones are more offensive, but you do have stuff like shield, which gives your opponent, your champion, 2 damage, and he becomes shielded, can't be targeted with spells. So there's a lot of stuff out there that you can use. These typically are just ones that I use from time to time in order to get a good round balance in my battle group. Now, relics. For Savage Tundra, a staple rune in the relic department is the Coordination Tower. It makes all of your guys around it stronger. Plus, it can be used as font contester and things like that. Okay, so we've got that one. Then Orb of Frostfall. That basically is our massive de-stealther right now. You put it in a battle group, put it in play, and even if they're invisible and stealthed on you, they'll start trailing snow, and so you can see where your opponent's guys are, even if they're stealth. So very, very good rune. And then the Provincial Marker. Every faction has a war banner. This is Savage Tundra's. It gives all of your guys, all your Savage Tundra guys, champions, +5 hit points and +1 damage. And then its cost versus its hit points makes it a good font contester, and some other things, but definitely throw in the War Banner. It's a good rune for its cost and things. And then on to equipment. Now, equipment in Savage Tundra has not always been the greatest, but I'll tell you what, ever since the Everfrost Manacles was put into play, it has been pretty much a staple rune for Savage Tundra guys. They become frozen, so it's going to slow them down, take a little bit of their damage, but most importantly, they take extra damage when they're hit. So you can take and put that on one of their big runes, and it debuffs them as well as causes them to be one-rounded much faster. And then the other one, since we're running Julia White Eyes, go ahead and throw in the Kenine Crown. What that's going to do for you is it's going to give her a +2 range on top of the 1 range that it already gives, and it's going to equip you or refund you 25 Nora out of its 40 back to you for putting it on Julia. So for 15 Nora, she becomes a 2 to 8 range champion. Okay, now this kind of gives you an idea of what a general battle group should consist of. Again, is this a meta group? Not really. The meta for Savage Tundra is not really these runes, but what I'm trying to do is just give you a good, solid example of, having a diversity of range, melee, meat, and then your kind of utility support guys, and then kind of show you how to put your spells in and what you're looking for on your spell diversity, your relics and equipment. So this is a pretty decent battleground. It would certainly win games in PoxNora. There's no doubt about that. Is it going to be top 50 compatible or top 100? No, probably not. But what it will do is allow you to be able to compete with other players in PoxNora, and gives you a good, solid idea of how to make a battle group and to get one running. So hopefully you've learned a little thing or two about PoxNora battle group creation. And what I'll attempt to do next is go over how to make a meta style battle group, and and some split battle groups too. So hopefully this has been educational to you. I appreciate you for watching, and we'll see you in game.